Hello and welcome to the Goddess Awakening podcast with your host, Lorena Douglas. Today I'll be speaking about the codes that I've been initiated in being a parent and raising my children. So, one of my first experiences, obviously, in having children is the immense love that is just activated instantly once you lay your eyes upon your children. And to me, it was just like a bursting open of my heart. And knowing that I would do everything and anything in my power to make sure that this fresh human being will have all that it ever needs to be able to be fully successful in life. And I know that I would try everything in my power to do so. And so, in doing that and in having that feeling, like that pull, that sort of like I need to keep this baby safe. I need to do everything and I need to provide. And it's a whole other motivation because prior to having a child, I wasn't as motivated. I wasn't as inspired to do anything. So my daughter, who is now 19 years old, really was my anchor in life. I was very up in the air, very like I couldn't commit to anything. But my daughter was able to bring me down and have me be more grounded in myself and in my life to be able to move on more gracefully. I was initiated more into being able to be an advocate, not only for myself, but for my daughter. And I had to be more vocal and I had to take more of a leadership role as she got older. And not only that, but also taking on the role of being the mother, of caretaking and being there to go to all her appointments and taking care of a whole other human being. It was, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of moments to be selfless, putting their needs before your own. But what I also had to be initiated in is not only doing that, but also doing that and not forgetting about yourself, not forgetting about your needs as well, which is one piece that I had forgotten as my daughter got older. And as I transitioned and had a second child, I continued to put their needs above my own. And eventually I forgot about myself and I forgot to fill my cup up too. So when I had to relearn how to put myself first and how to retrain myself to nurture myself, to give back to myself, that took a lot. And that made me feel like I was being selfish, which in turn, in the beginning, because you give so much, of course, you're going to feel like you're being selfish. But I had to literally learn that taking care of myself is not being selfish. Taking care of myself is teaching my kids not to run on empty, not to continue to give to those and just keep giving and giving and giving until there's nothing left of you, until you're depleted. And then you have to stay in bed for God knows how long so then you can recharge and then go back out there, which is very unhealthy, very that's not a really healthy way to live. So I started with, giving myself massages and giving myself pampering days and then taking many trips and taking retreats. And always something would go wrong before I would go on these many trips. And I thought that it was a sign from the universe not to do them, but it was a sign from the universe to test me. How much am I going to give back to myself? Am I going to break this pattern? Am I going to not continue to put myself in the back burner and not give to myself fully? And I went on with it. I still continued no matter how much my life was turning upside down. I continued to go on these trips and continued to put myself first. And whenever I came back from my trips, I would always feel nourished, always feel happy, and ready to give so much of myself, even more than before I left, to my children. I didn't feel like I was giving it away from a place like I have to. When I would come back, I would feel like I was giving it from a place of I want to. Like, let's do this. Let's do this and that, and not feel so depleted, which is a whole new way of retraining and rewiring yourself to function. And so now I have reminders that whenever I do feel depleted and when I do feel exhausted, just take some time off for yourself, whatever that might look like, and recharge myself. I see myself as like a phone, just recharging myself. Even if it takes 24 hours of me doing nothing and telling my kids, like, I need this space. I need the next day to do not ask me for anything. Like, I need to take care of myself is very healthy. Normalizing this new healthy way of functioning has helped me, has helped my family, has helped my children to see that this is like a new way or a healthy way of functioning. Because not all of us, not me, functioning on autopilot and this fight or flight mode and all of this has really messed me up in my and in my fees. Like, it just really messed me up, that and nobody normalizing or letting me know that that's not healthy. That's not a healthy way to function. And so these new ways, I'm also teaching them to, in their life, if they ever feel this way, this is literally what I'm teaching my 19-year-old, because with college and all this stuff, she's running on autopilot. I've explained to her that we're not robots. We're not made to work 24/7. We're not made to just do everything we're supposed to in like this everyday life. Like, we do need time to take one day out of the month or one day out of the week, whatever it is, for you to recharge. And if you want to take that one day off and all you have to do is sleep, that is okay. It is okay to just take a day off to just sleep, to be able to recharge your body, recharge your mind, and then be able to show up 100% the next day, the next week. That is okay. It is okay to say no. That is another thing I've learned too while parenting my children. As much as I would love to say yes to everything they ask me for, there is times where I have to say no, because it just doesn't seem feasible. It doesn't seem logical. And there's only so many ways I can split my time between everything that I have to fit in a day. That's just impossible. So being able to have a healthy managing schedule, not only for my children, but for myself, is something that I had to learn as well. I've also am learning now that my daughter has transitioned from young adult, from being a teenager, and now she's basically an adult in training. She is a young adult. She's 19. She's living away in college, and she's not in the home. She does return on her school breaks. And now that we are going from, the winter break, and she won't be back to college till the spring semester, I have learned a lot within this past year and a half of her being a young adult, and is trusting her that I have instilled the wisdom that she needs to be able to be a functioning adult out in the world. Because that's one of my biggest fears, that she will not be able to make the right decisions or the right choices. I see it more like, because I've made so many quote unquote wrong choices, that I'm trying to help her prevent it. But what I've learned too is that by me trying to interject, or me trying to prevent her from growing up and stumbling and falling and picking herself back up, like me wanting to prevent that, I'm doing her a disservice, because part of growing up is to fall, is to learn how to pick yourself up after you fall, is making mistakes. Yeah, quote unquote mistakes, is actually being able to experience the duality of your choices and then choosing after you make the choice whether that was a good decision or a bad decision for yourself. Only you have the authority to decipher that and make that decision and acknowledge that for yourself. By me stepping back and holding the space for her to make that determination, I'm giving her back her power. I'm giving her back her power, her sovereignty of being a young woman, a young adult in today's world. And she would feel more empowered that she was able to learn it on her own and learn whether that was good for her or not, and then move on to the next lesson in life. That's so much more rewarding for her as a human being than me trying to hold her by the hand, or me trying to say, no, you need to take the left, no, take the right. It's just, I'm taking away her power while I'm doing that. And that's what I'm learning now as well, that even with I have a little boy who's 11 years old, and I am trying to empower him more by taking on more chores and more responsibilities. And it's a little transition because he is the baby of the family. He sort of wants to continue to be babied. But by me allowing him to make more decisions, I'm teaching him, like, hey, you can do this. I don't have to continue to do this. You can do this. Like, I believe in you. And he, little by little, is transitioning to feeling more empowered. And so, yeah, the lessons never end as they continue to get older. It's just when they become a young adult, the decisions feel more life altering. Whether than when you're a child, you know that you're in mommy's home. You will be, taken care of. Not that she won't, but she's dealing with stuff more on her own without me being in her face because she's away in college and me being all the way back. So and it's and then that's a continuous struggle. Even now as an adult myself, I still have to, I still go through lessons, and I still have to check for myself whether this is a good decision I'm making or a bad decision I make. And if I make a mistake, then I know I could always fix it somehow. And that's okay. It is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to be an adult, because it is. And there's no right or wrong. It's whatever's right for you. Because what's right for me is wrong for somebody else. So that's literally one of the lessons that I have been transitioning with my daughter. What I've also learned is that my children don't belong to me. They just don't. As much as I would love to keep them in a protected bubble for the rest of their life, they don't belong to me. They have their own lessons, their own soul contracts that they've created, that they have decided upon before even taking this life, before coming to planet Earth. Like, we all have made soul contracts of experiences that are beyond our control as parents, because our children want to experience those lessons that they signed up for. And whether it be to feel more embodied, or whether it be to feel more love, or whatever it may be, and however, source delivers that lesson, and how many times it's going to take you to learn it, and then, going through it over and over again until you get the lesson. It's the hard truth that I had to learn as a parent, because there are a lot of decisions, a lot of choices that are being made on a daily basis that I want to prevent. but I have to learn to step back. And one of the times I had to step back, I really couldn't put it in my head as to why things were unfolding the way that they were. And Mother Mary had to step forward for me and let me know that she too was a mother and she too had to step back and trust that divine intervention that's unfolding for her son Jesus, that it was a soul contract that he had made prior to her being his mother. And that she had to trust in the divine and she had to trust in her spiritual team of light. And she had to witness and hold the space for her son's transformation, her son's life lessons. And as a mother, I have to remember that I have to step back and continue to hold the space of love, the space of unconditional, just so much love and abundance for my children. The space of surrendering and trusting that everything is divinely orchestrated for my children's highest good and for my highest good as a mother. Because as a mother, we don't stop being initiated into higher codes or higher wisdom of mothering, because I don't feel like my journey is over, even though I thought it was. I thought once my daughter went to college, I would stop being initiated, but that is not the case. I am still providing so much wisdom to my children, and that's okay. I'll still be here and providing that wisdom that is much needed for her to grow up and be a young adult who is, just beaming with so much love and so much light and so much abundance. Because that's my ultimate goal, is for my children to love being alive and to love being humans and to embrace all their emotion, all their sensibilities that come with being human and that with come with being just a woman and my son being a man, and embracing the adventure of growing up. And I think that's where I kind of missed the mark, because when I was young, a teenager, I wanted to grow up so fast. And then once I grew up and I finished high school, I felt like reality just hit me. It hit me and I was like, wow, what is there to do? I need to go to college. I need to choose a career. I don't even know what I want to study. And what I should have done is just followed my heart. And I should have just, instead of focusing on finding a job that brought in the biggest revenue, because that was my journey, just finding a job that made the most amount of money, I should have tuned into my heart. I should have tuned in and followed my heart's calling, which would have made a world of a difference. I ignored my heart for so long and my pull to be, that much more nurturing. I shut down the signs of my body and what my body was trying to alert me to follow. And if I can go back and just follow my soul song, my heart song, if I can follow what my body was yearning for, to explore, to experience even more. And that's what inspire my children to do every day, to tune into their heart, to tune into their body. How does it feel when you want to do this? And then how does it feel if you want to do that? It feels restricted. It feels like something's closing in. Then don't do that. Do your first choice. Even though it sounds ridiculous, even though it doesn't make sense to me, that's okay. Because it has to make sense to you, not to me. Because I know that everyone has their own life's journey. What makes you happy and what makes my daughter and my son happy are two completely different things. What makes me happy, what makes my husband happy are complete opposites. So I would approach that. That's how life is. And that's why I love that you get to choose once you finish high school. You get to choose what you want to accomplish, what you want to experience. What kind of college experience do you want? Do you want to go for the traditional degree, or do you want to go for a different kind of degree, which is what I inspired my daughter to do. She was so conflicted between finding a job, getting a career that made the most amount of money versus following what her heart was calling her to do, which was to create art. And I took her through a meditation, the same thing, to tune into your heart and what lights you up the most. Is going and being on a computer, or creating numbers. She was thinking about marketing and just doing that. Like, does that light you up? Does that make you feel happy? Or does this other option and being in a room full of canvases and creating, you know drawing with paint and charcoal and all that stuff, does that light you up? Does that make you want to get up in the morning and show up to class and give your 100%? And she said, yes, but it doesn't make sense. I don't want to be a starving artist, was her quote to me. And I said, look, you won't be. And the reason why is because your soul is calling you to experience that. And when it's from your heart and when it's from your soul, it's just different. It's a dream that has been born, that you had contracted with to experience in this lifetime. And if you don't do it, you'll regret it. And one thing I don't ever want her to experience is regret. I don't want to leave this world without any regrets. And so I will continue to show up 100% in everything that I do and all decisions that I make, because I do not want to go to my deathbed with regrets, because that's a no-go. That's a 100% no. No regrets here. If you're going to do something, do it 100%, and do it because you love and want to, because it lights you up. It lights your soul. The little girl in you is happy to experience that. And it's the most, the most savory code that I could share, because no one taught me that. No one taught me that that's how you're supposed to feel. I was brought up just being taught that you just have to do this and that, and that's it. There was no like passion or heart-led move or pull to experience those careers, those life experiences. It was like, we have to do family functions. We have to choose a job that makes the most money. We have to get a house or a job or all of this. Like, we have to. More of a like there was no spark, no excitement in any life decisions. And that was shut down for me. Like, I really couldn't feel any excitement to do anything grown up. Any decisions that were very grown up, all the spark, all the excitement was gone for me. And I didn't know how to find it. I really didn't. And it was like I was on autopilot for a very long time, because I was like, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to find this. I have to find that. I need to find a new job that makes more money. I'm going to train to find out how I'm going to do this. And then I would get the job that had the most money, all the way until, but there was never a cap, never like, Lorena. I think one day I just realized I just wasn't happy. Like, I wanted to be happy again. And I wanted my children to be happy when they woke up. Because I know my son was. My son still is. He wakes up super happy in the morning and always has, with 100% adrenaline. And I'm like, I want your energy. I want to know what makes you so happy. And I was determined to learn that, not only for me, but for my daughter who I felt that I had taken that away from her. I had taken away that spark for life or that spark for being human for a very long time because she's been with me through the ups and downs of being a young adult and navigating that system on my own, and then transitioning into finding the joy in life again and finding the joy of being a woman and human nowadays. So now I believe that I have been able to accomplish that not only for myself but for my daughter, to find that love for yourself and for what you're doing. Because my goal is to wake up every day with love and excitement and just the sheer joy of waking up again. And I hope that I'm able to instill that in my children and that it's not all about just work, because I know it's inevitable that there is some parts of our lives that we still have to do the boring things, and that's okay. It all doesn't have to be boring. It all doesn't have to be work. There is joy and play that can be assimilated in there. So one of the ways that I do that with my children is by going out or doing a day of like board games or a day of playing cards or a day of just dancing or doing karaoke or like movie nights. Once in a while, we'll go to the local arcade and we'll play games or play pool or go bowling. And I love to do that as a family if my daughter's around. If not, then obviously she has her own way of decompressing from the work that we have to deal with school and work. Like so much of that gets bent up inside that we need an outlet. Like my children need an outlet. Like we all need an outlet to be a kid again and to be joyful again. And whatever that may look like, I try to weave that into my life and my kids' life. And I would encourage you to do that as well, because that's another way of nourishing your soul and nourishing your vessel and nourishing your kids' vessels, because that way they're learning that play and fun is also another way to nourish yourself. It definitely is. It's not something that we're taught either, because again, I was taught to just work, work, work and sleep, eat, and do it all over again. And so when you invite playful activities such as that, if it's the summertime, the beach or the pool, if it's wintertime, we have sledding where I live. There's also skiing, and there's other activities that include just, letting go of electronics and letting go of just being at home and doing that same routine is doing something that you don't typically do that gets you out of that mindset of having to feel like it's like that work. I don't know how to explain it. It's an energy that brings you down. And yeah, those were the other lessons that I've learned and that I'll continue to teach my children, because they really are the next generation that breaks the mold, that breaks the routine of whatever I was taught as being normal. And I want them to come up with their own routine of healthy routines of being human, and however way that would look like to them. I would love for them to continue. Should have said this in the beginning. I'm first generation American born here. My parents my mom from Ecuador. My stepfather had come from Cuba. And so my children are really the second generation being born here in the US. I was instilled beliefs and values from my parents who came from a third world country to come here to escape whatever political persecution that they were facing in their countries to come here for freedom and for a better life. And so taking advantage of all the programs and all the life experience that that the United States has to offer, they weren't able to really give me 100% of what I was experiencing, because a lot of things I was experiencing, they were experiencing for the first time as well. They didn't know English. My mom didn't learn English till I was like in high school. I would say probably my last year of high school, like second to last year. And so everything I was learning, I was teaching them as well. And so with my daughter, because I was raised here, she was experiencing things too that I had experienced. But because we had moved so much, and I had moved from Manhattan to the Bronx, to then moving away to Texas, and then coming back to New York, but living upstate. I was born and raised in New York City, which is way different than the suburbs. And every other experience that I had given my daughter, it was all different, all entirely different for her. And so I had to navigate that, and I had to transition, and I had to give her the best experience that I could, and learning together and having the patience and understanding that I don't have all the answers, but I'll try my best to obtain them, and I would try my best to give her the best experience that I can, both for her and my son. And I am comfortable in knowing that I tried my best, that I tried to give them the best that I could with the life experiences that I had in those moments in time, and that I'm continuing to have. Because we could only be the best version of ourselves at that time with the knowledge that we have in those times. Because there's a lot of things that this version of me will do or could do that is so different than the version of me who had my child at 20, had my daughter at 20, and then later on had my son when I was 28. And then, because those versions of me are two totally different versions than me now. And then now looking back, a lot of decisions that I've made back in those days, I would probably not make now. So it's really is holding yourself with so much love and so much compassion and so much empathy, because at the end of the day, all those decisions were made with so much love. And that's one thing I could say. Every decision I've ever made for my children came from a place of love, a place of selflessness, a place of compassion, and a place of wanting to provide them with even more abundance. And so I don't have any regrets being a parent. I don't have any regrets in the parents that my children have or the parents that I was given, because every life experience brought me to where I am today. It brought me to be and created the woman that stands before you today. Because without those life experiences, I wouldn't have been able to learn from them. Without the type of parents that I had, I wouldn't have been able to experience the experiences that I have to be able to show up the way that I do today. And it's in those life lessons that I'm able to come to you, to come to my children, to wake up every day and show up the way that I do. And for that, I am eternally grateful for. I'm eternally grateful to my parents, to my children, to my husband. And I just can't wait to what parenting will unfold as my children get older. Because as they get older, they keep initiating me into even more love and even more compassion and even more empathy and even more into patience and understanding that they don't belong to me. They belong to God, and they belong to themselves, and they're allowed to make whatever choices that they want to make in life, and that mom will always be here. I will always be here, holding the space, holding the fort for whenever they want to come back and hear more wisdom or hear more stories of what they can do, what decisions they can do, giving them both the different versions or the different experience that they may or may not experience, they may not have. But that is okay, because there's no such thing as a wrong decision. It's what I've also learned. There's no such thing as a wrong decision. It's just a decision that you took, and it's a life experience that you chose. We're the ones who make it mean something. We're the ones that make it mean, oh, that was wrong, that was right. And it's not that. You decided on that life experience. You decided to feel and experience all the emotions that came with making that decision. And now, can you live with that? Can you live with that? Or does it feel off? And if it does, just pivot, make a different decision and change it. Change your life. Change the life and create the life that you want to create, because we're, at the end of the day, we're master creators of our own reality. I've created everything that I have now more consciously because I decided to take on that life lesson that I wanted to alchemize and face all my emotions and be even more empowered in my emotions, in my body, in my mind. I wanted to master all my emotions myself, and I wanted to be even more healthy conscious instead of going through life blindsided or trying to go through life trying to find the meaning in everything. And I feel that I've finally come to a whole place where I am able to find so much love and compassion and empathy and just excitement and joy in everything that I do. And some people will describe that as looking at the cup half full instead of half empty. And that's exactly what it is, because you choose to be happy. You can choose to be negative, but you wake up every day and you choose to be happy. Nothing but happiness will come your way. Nothing but love and more abundance and more opportunities will come your way, because you've shifted your whole mindset to be that. And so the universe will bring that to you even more. And so if you're ready to alchemize your own challenges into wisdom, trust your inner strength, and never give up on your life's journey, please know that you're not alone, beautiful soul. Your struggles can become your greatest wisdom. Your love and sensitivity is your superpower. Your journey matters, and the world needs your unique feminine essence to shine without holding you back. So subscribe now so you'll never miss an episode, and let's walk this path together in sisterhood. Love you.